Hello, everybody. It's been a few days. You must be like really sad and desperate without seeing me in those days. I can't imagine what it's been like for you, but it's been the same way for me. So don't feel bad about it. You know what I kind of want to talk about is like the stigma against mental illness and mental, challenges or whatever. I don't know. I still like, I mean, like mentally ill, I'm not, no. But it's a chemical thing, right? I don't like the word ill, nor do I like the word unstable, because I'm not at this point. There's gotta be another better word for it. But what I'm thinking about is like, I'm really open. I'm really open about this stuff. You know what I mean? It's clearly I'm on a Facebook Live showing everything, to all my guts to the world. But I think it's important to come out there, get out there and talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, and it's intimidating. Like, I'll be honest with you, it's intimidating. It's like, okay, I'm gonna mention this a lot more than I would like, but I mean, that's the only way to get rid of the stigma, right? I was just on a call. It was really cool. It was a virtual networking call. I gotta go do some work in a minute, but yeah, I gotta do some work. Yeah. So sorry, I was just looking at my board over there to see what I have planned. Oh, by the way, I'm on a 5-day fast. This is day 3. I'm pretty hungry, but once I drink water and have my tea, I'm fine. Anyway, the stigma around the mental health community, let's call it mental health challenges. So, there's a stigma, right? Even I, who has known about some issues for a long time, right? I mean, I've always had depressive tendencies, and I was diagnosed bipolar. There's also generalized anxiety and a little bit of PTSD and a little bit of OCD, like just a speck. But I mean, like, it's a wonderful spectrum that makes me my own unique person, right? But it's part of who someone is. And I mean, in a way, it's not who they are, but it is certainly a component of how they go about presenting themselves in the world and how they walk in the world. And I think it's really shitty. I think it's really shitty to, this is not that group I was telling you about, this is like other, but like to make people feel bad about it. It's like, they already feel bad. Like, leave them alone. Be nice. But this group I was just talking to, it was really cool. And I went into a breakout room with, I think it was 5 people. And I mentioned, I was just like, oh, I was talking about Robin actually. And, I was like, oh, like I have this friend, she does this, and she's helped me more than any therapist has ever helped me. And I've had therapy since I was 16. And they're all like, oh, and I'm like, bipolar, depression, all the good stuff. They're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. But yeah, and that felt awkward. That was like, my eyes just kind of like, yeah, that was awkward. But I think it's good. I think it's a good thing to do. So I just want to encourage anybody out there who may have some mental health challenges, or knows someone who has some mental health challenges, or works with, I know a couple of people who work in like hospitals for people who are on the extreme side of it. I think talking about it, bringing it out in the open, even if I'm looking like, honestly, like, I like being a weirdo. I really do. Like, I like standing out as a person. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a sheep. And, we're all different people. Certainly most people aren't going to do this, but we all do our things in different ways. But it's awkward. It's uncomfortable. There's shame. There's a lot of shame. And for God's sake, people who have mental challenges, mental health issues, they already feel enough shame. They really do. I mean, like, that's what depression is. Basically, being ashamed of every single thing that you've ever done. You know what I mean? Like, I walked weirdly today. Not that bad, but kind of. You know, like just it's really hard. It's really hard to exist in the world where judgments are passed for so many things, and judgments are installed at such a young age. You know, so I'm like, I remember when I was younger and when I was like in the teens, and my mom would be like, "Do you want me to take you to a therapist?" Like, it's kind of like a threat. And one day I turned around and I was like, "Yes, please!" Like, I need, you know, like, just, so that's like the idea that got installed in my head, that, you know, going to a therapist is a punishment and it's not good, and people who go to therapy are whatever, you know what I mean? Like, but the stigma has to change. It has to change. It's, you know, they're regular people, maybe not regular people, but there's no regular people. There's actually, I know I talk about Robin ad nauseum, but Robin always says normal is a cycle on the washing machine. Like, normal, no one's normal. No one's normal. It's just a matter of how much they're willing to show how not normal they're willing to be in front of people, I guess. I don't know. So everybody has their things. Everybody has their things. And it's not nice to make people feel. This was not this group. I'm just talking about other people in general. Just the idea that people are being shamed for something that they're already feeling a lot of shame about. It's just mean. It's mean, guys. Like, just, you know, like, accept that it's a mental health issue and that there are chemical imbalances in people's brains, and it's not just snap out of it. You know what I mean? Like, accept that my brain works differently than your brain. We're all wired differently, not just my brain to everybody else's brain, but we are all wired differently. We all have a different amount of chemicals flowing around in our brain. Yeah, I'm on a bunch of medications. See, and again, like, it's something that I kind of laugh nervously about to say, but yes, I'm going to say it seriously. I am on a bunch of medications to regulate my brain chemistry. Otherwise, I would probably be dead. If not, certainly incapacitated. And that's just, I mean, you can't snap out of depression. You can't, it's a thing. It's a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't have spent 10 years depressed, not moving forward in my life, you know, like, not even being able to take care of myself, like, seriously unable to take care of myself. That's not something I could snap out of. You know what I mean? That's not something that, mindset change. It's really not. It's a chemical imbalance, and it's, you know, you need help. So I would suggest, if you need help, go to Robin Thomas. She's pretty awesome. We talk at 2:00 every Friday. It's Robin Thomas. It's Untethered Talk with Robin Thomas at Fridays at 2:00. That's the long name, or just Untethered Talk, whatever. But yeah, she's helped me more than anyone has. So I'm a strong proponent of her services. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say. Just kind of like, the reason I'm saying it is because in that group, when I mentioned it, I felt uncomfortable. And you know what I mean? Like, and my worry is like, what do they think? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, like, are you gonna really worry about what people think when you're telling people that you have mental health challenges and that you have, you know what I mean? Like, is that, at that point, can't you just give it up? But you can't, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's part of the issue too, is like, you gotta, for people who are in this population of people who, you know, have challenges, you know, different brain chemistry and stuff like that, I think it's important for them to talk about it and have it become, quote unquote, I can't quote because my hands are holding the camera, but quote unquote, normal, what I just totally lost. Whenever I go off on like a small little tangent, forget it. Okay, hang on. So I was talking about, so we should be able to talk about our health with no problems. I mean, granted, here's the line though, right? Like, how many people out there are like, oh yeah, so my bunion or my intestinal worms, like, no one really goes around talking about their health, and I think it's important though, because it's not part of the public discourse, and people are blamed for it, and people blame themselves for it, and that's worse. That's worse, because there's just so much, like, there's guys if you've never been depressed, like depressed, capital D, like, you don't get it. You don't get it. You can't. You feel so ashamed of yourself at every minute of every day. You're telling yourself something horrible about yourself. It's terrible. It's terrible. And making someone feel bad for that is really fucking cruel, right? I mean, it's cruel. So I think it's important to get it out in the open, because people shouldn't have to feel this way. Because if it's out in the open, people feel more comfortable about getting help. Maybe there are more people, willing to give help. I mean, more, I don't know. There are people out there that need, and just people, general understanding and compassion. You know what I mean? Like, like I was not able to do this. Like, oh, well, you just didn't do it. Like, no. I wasn't able to. I did not have the capacity. Like, that's the case. I did not have, like, in anything. I'm just talking about any, like, getting out of bed. You know what I mean? Like, no, it's not. We don't want to be in bed all day. And I'm, thankfully, thank God, thank the universe, thank everything that is good and just, which is everything, unfortunately, sometimes. Because everything else is just as it's supposed to be, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, it's a terrible way to feel. I mean, the depression, you're ashamed of yourself. You're ashamed of yourself all day, every day. And it's not just little, like, oh, slightly embarrassed. It's like shame. Like, I'm a bad person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and there's no reason to think that. I am not a bad person. I'm actually a good person. Not, yeah, they are. And I spent, honestly, a lot of the first 40 years of my life, 41 years, 42 years of my life, feeling bad about myself. And it's getting better now, and it's going to be great when I marry myself at the end of the month. It's very exciting. I should keep you abreast of all the plans. But I've invited more people. It's going to be held in a restaurant. Well, I think we're going to do it outside. Anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, generalized anxiety, another thing. Shitty. It's shitty to feel that way. Feel like there is something wrong, and something's going to go. The feeling is that something horrible is happening or will happen momentarily, and you just don't know about it. And you're looking to see what it is. What is it? What is it? What is it that's terrible? What is it that's causing this anxiety? Because your brain tries to make stuff up. Like, for instance, it's a good one. There's my breakthrough where, okay, like, if you didn't know, not that everybody knows, there was a point in October, at the end of October, where see, this is hard to admit, right? Where I was so stressed out that my brain broke, and I was yelling uncontrollably for 2 days. I mean, not straight, but like my anxiety would shoot up. I'd have a thought, that there's a thought, cycle that my brain went through. And then end up spiking. It's so hard, guys, because you're like, oh, just don't think that thought. It's like, but the first thought in that cycle is really tempting. It makes you feel really good. It makes itself like really, really tempting. And you're like, oh, that'll make me feel better to think that. And then you're right back where you were. And it's really hard to stop. So I was shouting at myself, saying like I'm stupid or whatever, literally yelling at myself for being stupid and for all this other shit. And that was like 2 days I did that. And then I obviously had to rest for like 5 more days, or at least 3. I was in bed for like 3 days. I was exhausted. Dude, that was exhausting. But it's not like something like that happens and you're over it instantly, right? I still have shots of anxiety that just shoot through my body. And what happens is your brain finds something to blame it on. And it can be the stupidest, not stupid. It can be the smallest thing. Don't make someone feel bad about that. Don't make someone feel bad about that. I was in a conversation yesterday with my not yesterday, a couple of days ago with my housemate, and she made me feel so bad about everything. Like, it was cruel. It was cruel. And, it's just like, fuck off. Just not sorry, fuck off. But honestly, it's a really good thing for me because no, we're going in other places, guys. It's just stream of consciousness, but that's not anything new. It's good for me because being in this house, the people here are very angry, very, very angry people, and it comes out in all these different places and towards things that it doesn't belong going towards. And that was similar to my childhood, right? Like, why are you so mad all the time? And now I know. I mean, we won't go into that. But when I was a child, that was terrifying. And so when I hear someone here being angry for no reason, especially when it's directed at me, I get triggered. Like, I get triggered. It's like, but I'm learning to deal with it. That's the thing, is the big lesson I'm learning from it is like, people have shit that's not yours, and they might throw it at you. They might blame it on you, but it's not yours. It's theirs, and they just can't face it. And that's sad, because that means that they can't get over it and grow. But you certainly can't tell them because they'll just get madder. But yeah, it's painful. It's painful for everybody. It's painful to see someone hurting so much. It is. And, because I understand hurt, right? I understand suffering. I don't want people to feel that way. It might be a different feeling. I go sad. I don't go angry, I go sad, but, some people don't. Some people go in a different direction, and it's not any less uncomfortable. It's not any less damaging. It's not any less, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not any less suffering. It's suffering. It is suffering. And, everybody deserves the opportunity to take a moment, really reflect on themselves, journal maybe, guys. That's how I did it at the beginning, and realize what it is that is causing these issues. When I was first coming out of my depression, I was journaling a lot. I would ask a lot of questions, and the answer comes, because that's how the universe works. And I was finding a lot of really, really important, interesting, climactic information. Like, just what's the word? like releasing, you know, just like, oh my God, that's why there's that thing that I do. You know, I mean, it's like just the beginning, just the knowledge is, I mean, I was in euphoria for weeks. It felt really good. I'm getting it back there. It's going to be permanent. Woo-woo. So, yes, I was talking about suffering and pain. That's all I talk about. No, it's not. It's not. I talk about suffering and pain in order to talk about how to get out of it. So, just for anybody out there, I know that a lot of times people are like, oh, all you do is cry. It's like, no, I cry, but then I talk about how to stop crying. And, you know, that can be hard. It can be hard. But yeah, people shouldn't have to suffer through whatever mental health challenge anybody's having. And they should have the opportunity to sit down and really, really reflect on themselves. But then some people aren't ready, you know what I mean? Like, you can't force someone to do that. You can't force someone to be ready if they're not ready. They are incapable. You know, and it's like, it's just I mean, hopefully it's just a matter of time for people to kind of come to peace. You know, I mean, not that I'm at peace completely, certainly not. But I don't know. People shouldn't have to suffer. And people shouldn't make fun of people who are suffering. People shouldn't, what's the word? Oh my God, my brain, guys, my brain. Shouldn't devalue. Is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe people who are suffering. I mean, people are suffering. They're suffering. Why are you making fun of them? You know, like, why are you making it out to be less than it is? They're suffering. Like, you have no idea what's going on in their head. You have no idea what's going on in their lives. You have no idea what's going on in their hearts. It doesn't matter how much you think that you do, you don't. You know, so people who are like, just get over it, you know, like, or, you know, it's a mindset shift. Yeah, yes. Mindset is a huge part of it. But there's also the issue of chemical imbalances that they cannot do anything about unless they take medication and go to therapy. That's pretty much what they got to do. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to say, is that just that putting it out there, you know, talking about it, it's uncomfortable. Talking about it randomly in random places, it's uncomfortable. It's not like I'm like, oh, hey, everybody, I've got generalized anxiety and a little bit of depression and, you know, some bipolar in there. Like, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, and I feel ashamed. But I shouldn't feel ashamed, and that's why I'm talking about it. And other people shouldn't feel ashamed, and you shouldn't make other people feel ashamed. Their issues are their issues. They don't need you adding to it. They don't. They need your understanding and compassion. And I'm not saying that you add to it, whoever's watching it. I'm saying maybe someone you know adds to it. Anyway, that is all I wanted to say. It is... I gotta go work. Well, I gotta go work, guys. Yeah, I gotta go work. Okay, so I'm grateful for the challenges that I receive. And I gotta talk more about this energy stuff later. But I'm really grateful for the challenges that I receive, because they are challenging me. Challenges challenge people. That's a thing, right? That's what they do. That's the nature of a challenge. But if I didn't have these challenges, I wouldn't be growing. And growing is wonderful. Growing feels good. It feels good. Growing means you can handle more things. You can cope with more situations. You know what I mean? Personal development is important. It's not like on the sidelines if I have the time. Because it's the quality of your life. It's the quality of your life. If you go around being sad all the time, or being angry all the time, or being... Those are the two things that I can think of right now. Like what? Horny all the time? I don't know. That's the thing that came to mind. Excellent. But just like any extreme of emotion, any extreme of anything is not a good thing. And so having it, being challenged by it, finding a way to, I don't know if it's overcome it, it's release it, finding a way to release it is a privilege. And I'm really glad. I'm really grateful for it. I'm grateful for everything, guys. Like, no matter what it is, there's a reason to be grateful for it. There is. So, my lips are very dry. Anyway, I'm going to remind you at this point, because I do have to go work, that you should remember, should is a bad word, right? I'm going to just remind you that you can always choose to have a grateful day.